Welcome, YouTube. This is Acid Root. So I'm going to review Pop Smoke's Shoot for the Stars, Aim for the Moon album, the deluxe edition. So basically the concept of this was 50 Cent executive produced Shoot for the Stars, Aim for the Moon, but it had a deluxe version that came out on Pop Smoke's 21st birthday with not just 3, 4, or 5 new songs, but basically 15 new songs. One is an interlude, but 14 new songs and one interlude basically makes 15 new tracks on there. Definitely packed to the gills for a deluxe. Most of the time, deluxe editions, they may get nowadays like 7 or 8 new songs, but this is basically like 2 albums, where Pop Smoke's Shoot for the Stars album by itself was like 19-20 songs, but it turned out to be 34 with the deluxe edition. So that's definitely kind of the concept. There's even a single on the deluxe edition, so that's kind of the concept here. I really feel like this album, I feel like the first Shoot for the Stars, at least the regular edition, definitely conveyed like some good styles of Pop Smoke, like some R&B type gems that Drake would kind of do, like What You Know About Love and the Woo, and then kind of summery, kind of hazy, kind of just Mexico vacation type songs were kind of on the original Shoot for the Stars. And it had some drill songs on there too, which was a subgenre that Pop Smoke helped spearhead and bring to the mainstream more. People like Chief Keef were doing it, but he was definitely one of the central ones in his lifetime when he was doing drill. And that had songs like Dior on there and that type stuff that were just really kind of emphatic energy and just pulsating kind of nightlife vibes about it. But I will say about the deluxe edition, there's not an overabundance, and it's kind of similar to the Shoot for the Stars album. That both albums, the regular version and the deluxe edition with it, kind of downplay the subgenre that Pop Smoke was trying to create. I still feel like it's a good album, but it tries really more difficultly to kind of show him as more of like a multifaceted musician, more so than trying to capitalize on the trend and being able to flesh that out. So there's really, it seemed like Pop Smoke recorded a lot of songs for the album before his death, and that's shown on here, even if they're not complete songs. But it doesn't really do like a wholesomely accurate job of putting the foot in the door for the drill subgenre, because I feel like Pop Smoke was basically the leader of like the New York drill kind of movement, minus him and Fivio Foreign and maybe like a couple other people in like the Woo group that he had. It just never really got a chance to get off the ground because Pop Smoke died before even putting one album out. He barely had 2 mixtapes out before he died, and I almost wonder if he would have dropped a third mixtape before even dropping an album in the first place. So a lot of these just kind of feel within that context, but I would have to say the drill subgenre is kind of underappreciated, and this kind of feels more mythical, more so than actually augmented. There's some decent drill songs on here, but this is not spearheaded the way I would have liked. And it was kind of like, I want to say it wasn't a huge complaint about the regular edition of this album, but I do kind of remember thinking that on the original album back in July. But there are some, Pop Smoke was trying a number of things. Like Wikipedia says that this is like a drill, trap, and R&B record. So there's a bunch of that, and this album just in general feels like a summer vacation. It really just feels like a fancy kind of 4-star, 5-star hotel type vibe in like Mexico or like the Barbados or some place near the equator, that type stuff, just to kind of go. It really feels fancy, and there's some brilliant moments on here that kind of showcase a more exquisite living, but it's just a little bit too carefree. I would have liked a little bit more strengths in terms of having more of like the up-tempo kind of club bops and the night venue numbers, and there's really not any strip club or dance club type songs on here, -1. So there's not really any dance club songs on here, -1, but it just kind of, I feel like it just covers a lot of bases, and in a lot of cases, not enough of the seeds that he tries to water really get the sufficient water that they need. This is kind of a lot of stuff that's on here, but it just doesn't cover them in the sense of being able to say that Pop Smoke has like triumphant strengths in these genres. It's just kind of like, I can do this a little bit, but it just doesn't really stick to one type thing. It really, I think the amalgamation of the whole deluxe edition really feels like an extensive kind of summer vacation near the equator type party, but it just kind of, it's more relaxed than it just doesn't have quite the ambition. Like when you think of deceased rappers like Tupac and like, trying to think of another one, like like Tupac or someone like that, just kind of having the furor of ambition as far as trying to flesh out some of these. It's just kind of a lot more nonchalant and just I don't want to say facetious, but just kind of more of just not imperative kind of energy. So that's just kind of the concept. But I mean, I know he was very early in his career, but the whole thing about this album is just the fact that I really don't even think Pop Smoke had a name for his album at the time of his death. I think it was probably a figment in his mind that he wanted to do an album eventually, but I just think it was so early. He had just really put out the second mixtape, so it's just kind of more sketchy ideas and just afterthoughts more so than actual bullet point type songs that would have been the approach for it. I don't even know if the Pop Smoke album, had he lived longer, would have came out in 2020, but that's just kind of the thing. So I'll go ahead and dissect this. So the single off this project is Hello, and this strikes me as like a dinner type song, which I actually don't see a ton of rappers really make. When you have like a dinner date or something like that, and you're actually going to somewhere where you have like plates and forks and that type stuff, and you're having to use silverware and use it at a table and that type stuff. It just really strikes me. This is not necessarily like a nightclub type song or a stepping out and kind of being raucous type song. It really strikes me as like kind of more composed, just kind of focusing on the food and just relaxing and kind of being more insular and that type stuff. Not so much insular like just kind of more homely, but just kind of in the concept, just on a dinner date, and you're not really focused on your buddies and what you're going to smoke and drink and that type of stuff. Just really kind of a consolidated date type song. And it's just interesting to kind of get that in like a dinner type setting, because I really felt like this is a song you can listen to on like a dinner date, and you would hear, depending upon the restaurant, you would hear it kind of at like this, when you usually think of like dinner dates, they play like opera and stuff like that, and those type, this more kind of emphatic. They play more opera and kind of fancy blue blood type stuff. But it's interesting that Pop Smoke was trying that angle to kind of have like dinner dates and fancy dinner dates in terms of like a rap song, kind of do that. So kudos to Pop Smoke for kind of coming up with that and having that sort of vibe. There is some fanciness on this project that I will have to describe, but we'll kind of get into that. So I'm going to go ahead and list the 6 songs out of 14 I recommend. I'm not going to count the Imperfections interlude, but the 6 songs out of 14 I recommend to you are Paranoia, She Feeling Nice, Hello, the single, Hotel Lobby, Showing Off Part 1, and Iced Out Audemars. I would have to say, to talk about some of these, I really feel like the drill songs, if you're here for drill and you want to see Pop Smoke on more of his Dior type stuff, I feel like Iced Out Audemars is that's probably the best drill song on here. It's the lengthiest one and the most emphatic, classic vintage Pop Smoke song that there is on here. I mean, I don't feel like the production is as good as Dior, but it's pretty damn good. It definitely has that kind of like exhilarating, kind of like just vital kind of feeling towards it. It's definitely a jivey kind of song. This has a great energy, and it feels like a flex song. It just really, it's Pop Smoke on his standard kind of vintage type package, and there definitely needed to be way more songs like this on here, but it's just barely sprinkled in. The only other song I recommend in that drill sense is just Showing Off Part 1, which really has like a creeping, this one's kind of a little bit more tense, a little bit more creeping type feel towards it. Kind of dramatic. Definitely feels like a song for the weekend. I would recommend this song, and Iced Out Audemars is kind of like the more stepping out for like Friday, Saturday type stuff. The more vital energy that Pop Smoke kind of conveyed, but just not enough. I feel like this song is really short. It's less than 2 minutes, and it's just kind of like a brief taste. And even then, he splits the song with Vivio Foreign. So it's just kind of the concept. It's just a nice little mini jolt of energy to kind of get you excited and that type of stuff. But it's just very trite in terms of like seeing what I would have liked to have had drill commandeered. But some of these other ones, like I feel like Hotel Lobby is kind of another fancy type song, very similar to Hello, very similar to Paranoia, and it kind of has like, I mean, Hotel Lobby is a very paranoid kind of summery type feel that feels like you're at a hotel, but just kind of more worried about like someone's going to track you down. I mean, that was how Pop Smoke finally got his fate, but just to kind of say he was aware that people were trying to take him down back when he was recording this he was aware that people were trying to take him down when he was trying to record this album. So Hotel Lobby is very clairvoyant in showcasing the fact that he had like songs talking about how he has to kind of be on his toes and that type of stuff. But it works as a pretty haunting and kind of paranoid song in like a fancy sense. So it can still be kind of in a summer vacation, but this is more of like an awareness kind of song. And then I feel like Paranoia is the same type vibe. This feels like a hotel kind of. Paranoia definitely feels like a lounge type song, just a hotel lounge, just kind of in a summery kind of hot weather type feel. Definitely something in Mexico and like South America, those type places, just some sort of warm spot where you're kind of more relaxed and that type of stuff. So I feel like definitely some hotel and kind of summer vacation songs would be Paranoia, Hotel Lobby, and more of like a tense sense, and then Hello. They all kind of have that more relaxed type vibe. It's interesting to kind of get that as like an extra theme because it just kind of showcases the fact that Pop Smoke felt really kind of comfortable and relaxed at the time, and some of this is kind of emphatic to kind of show off a new angle as far as that kind of goes. Because I do think maybe the drill might have gotten tiresome if there had been too much of it and it had gotten worn out too quickly, but I felt like it was kind of underdeveloped on the album. But I do like these kind of hotel summary type numbers. And then a real kind of surprise hit off this album that I would have definitely liked more songs like Is She Feeling Nice with Jamie Foxx. This was really like a bouncy nightclub type song. Definitely almost felt like Euro pop, just a real kind of uppity, kind of like David Guetta, just without the EDM type stuff type feel. Just a real nice tempo. Really felt like a nightclub type song, stepping out in that sort of sense. I mean, I can even post that. I would even suppose that could be down near the equator in like a summery type vibe also, but it just has a real kind of jivey type feel, definite for probably the most energetic club song on the whole album. This is the one I would go for with the most immediate energy. So for the most part, this is a lot more relaxed and kind of lazy, but I do like the She Feeling Nice. This one's kind of more like has like kind of more alarm, a better sense of urgency towards it, and Jamie Foxx contributes well. So to talk about some of the songs I didn't enjoy, like I felt like some of these drill songs, like Showing Off Part 2 and The Woo Year, both just had pretty lame beats. Showing Off 2 was too dramatic and it just was not motivating. It's just I don't think Pop Smoke um, Showing Off Part 2 was too dramatic and it just wasn't motivating. Didn't really get me energized as far as trying to think of like standard drill songs. I mean, for the most part, drill is always something that makes you want to step out and leave the house and go out for the night and that type of stuff. I think that one was just a little bit too over the top. Just didn't quite capture the energy that well. And then Woo Year really didn't pull off the energy that well. I think that there's better drill beats that can be found. Some of them are on the standard edition, but some of these just were kind of clumsy and they just didn't have the execution that well. So I know Pop Smoke probably would have been able to craft better ones, but I think maybe some of these were just kind of sketches. Backseat was kind of like a mellow summer type song that just didn't really jump off the page. I mean, if you are just looking for summer vacation type songs, you just want something to relax and have a mojito to or something like that, that is a type song. But I just felt like it was basically pretty unnoteworthy. Just didn't really jump off the page. It was just a standard summer song that just didn't have any bite to it. And it's the same thing with Tsunami. That was another one that just had really tame production and felt really limp. I mean, there's a lot, like I said, this is a pretty summer vacation type album. There's plenty of songs for that, but that's an extra avenue that Pop Smoke claims. But some of these just felt really kind of tame and limp, and they just felt like very tepid and not sparky kind of summer productions. I mean, if you're here for a vacation and you're just not even paying wholesomely attention to the music, they might work, but they just really were not that vital. And Be Clear was kind of a glittery type beat. I don't know what direction this was trying to go. This one felt really like a pop rap type song, but this did a really bad job of it. I think that there's better beats that Pop Smoke could have been on that had more commercial feel and had him step out of trap and drill type genres, but this one just was not the one to do that. And then Enjoy Yourself, the three remixes on this album, the unfortunate thing about them is they don't really enhance anything. I almost said I liked the Enjoy Yourself remix, but it's just the same song. It's just basically the same three songs that are on the standard edition, just with like new musicians on there, and they don't really I mean, I feel like some of these are just better on the standard edition. I mean, if there would have been something new from Pop Smoke or something vital, but it's just basically like trap artists or some up and comer that just doesn't contribute overtly to the project. It's just it's kind of an extra assortment, but it doesn't really add much. The original songs are good as well, so it's just your choice of whether or not you want these songs, the original. But I didn't see them as something that was like a complete necessity to have. So, I mean, some of these are like I did like Enjoy Yourself and Diana. Those are two good ones on the standard edition. I don't remember if I liked them back in July, but I would have to say they're at least noteworthy. But I just think probably the original versions are the same things. It's just your choice whether or not you want to mess with them. But so that's kind of the concept. That's kind of the concept is you get like an amalgamation of styles. You get like some R&B type stuff. You get a good taste of drill and a good taste of like an extensive fancy hotel type visit and summer type vibes that just has an expression of just a pure vacation and relaxation, some R&R. But I kind of feel like the energy just behind it was just off-putting because I think Pop Smoke got comfortable too soon. I would have liked more songs that kind of showcase some good songwriting and emphasis, just being able to say that the hits are kind of there and they just come one after one after one, not just song 1 is good, then song 6 is good, then song 9 is good, but like song 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, just a more blockade of a vibrato that would have been more rampant and like rampant. And I just would have to say that that would have definitely been something. I mean, I know that really Pop Smoke was just truly in the sketch stages of delivering this album, but I still kind of feel like it is kind of here and there was just kind of more focused on comfortability. And I think just that kind of relaxed vibe is not to say that it's not charming, but I look after it, it's kind of like I do think, I mean, there's nothing that could be done just because Pop Smoke's deceased, but it just makes you wonder about the emphasis of what the album could have been if there would have been a good amalgamation of drill songs and all the drill songs would have hit and it wouldn't have been so under promoted, and then the summer type fancy songs would have worked too, and all of them would have worked, and then the R&B songs like What You Know About Love would have been on there. I think that triple blockade of things would have been a real force to have been reckoned would have been a real force to have been reckoned with had it been executed a little bit better. But I just feel like some of these were just kind of tame, and it had a good approach for trying to do that, but the way that it was trying to turn out just didn't quite deliver on that kind of concept. I mean, it's good. I mean, I think Pop Smoke was pretty much one of the first to kind of, I think the originality behind it was definitely good because Pop Smoke had some angles that he was trying, but it just didn't, like the quality still needed more mechanics and a little bit more work. So that's just kind of the concept. But so I'm gonna score this album me liking 6 songs out of 14. I'm gonna go ahead and give the deluxe edition like a 4.75 out of 10. I mean, I kind of feel like me liking less than half the songs on this album. I kind of feel like me liking less than half the songs on this album. I mean, it is worth it to get. If you're going to get the album, you might as well get the deluxe edition and get like another 6, 7 type songs that you may like. But I kind of feel like it just will leave you hungry. I think the deluxe edition, the original album, the standard edition doesn't leave me as hungry as the deluxe edition, just because I see some of the styles that he was trying to do, and they just don't get pulled off to the extent that they need to. And that's kind of the concept where I like the summer songs, the drill songs, but I don't like all of them. And that's kind of the concept. And I wonder if Pop Smoke had been alive, if the concepts of the things that he chose would have been different and he would have had a better execution as the album started being crafted. So that's just kind of the concept. But 4.75 out of 10. The social score, I'll go ahead and give a 6.5 out of 10 because some of these are pretty refined and fancy and that type of stuff, and they definitely have a lot of polish and a lot of commercial veneer towards them that kind of showcases that this is pretty lit for 2020. And even throughout the early 2020s, I think some of these could make it into 2023 and further. So that's just kind of the concept. Nice social feel towards it. It's definitely good for stepping out. In terms of the future, like Pop Smoke dropped an album in 2021, but I just don't know how much music he recorded. But it's at least good to kind of get some more of this. Eventually, I'm going to review his mixtapes and stuff. So yeah.